And the 4x1 exciting Olympic development races are behind us, and looking forward again to some distance relay events, the 4x800 Championship of America, starting off with the collegiate women. Corey, this should be good.
Yeah, we got Penn State, Washington, Villanova, Clemson, Providence, Virginia, Georgetown, Duke, Richmond, Penn, Maryland, Navy, and Michigan State. Some of the best programs in the country lining up here.
Now, Corey, you mentioned first Penn State. They have, whether they gave themselves that title, 800U, and they really are. They have just had a run of Big Ten champions on the men's side, women All-Americans, national champions. John Gondak and company really know how to dial in that 800-meter training program and developing those athletes, and also recruiting, because, again, success breeds success when it comes to recruiting additional young athletes who run the half-mile fast.
Yeah, and it's about finding talent where talent is, and not necessarily only in your state. You know, these programs recruit across the U.S., and Penn State does that very well. Allison Johnson is a good example. She's from Ohio, not from PA. So great find from the Nittany Lions.
Again, a small school in the Buckeye State. I believe that's Division III, the smallest enrollment classification. So they go out there looking, as you said, for the talent. Also looking, again, thankfully our sport, black and white with the numbers, whether it's distances, times, throws, it's somewhat easier to recruit. But you need also to find that person who will go in with the logic that you bring to the table.
And fill the meet record here, 8:17:45, which is also the national record from 2013. So that's stayed the test of the time for a decade here.
So as our field gets set for the Women's Olympic, Championship of America 4x8 relay, we are underway. Again, some of the marquee programs, Penn State, Providence, Georgetown, Villanova, Washington, Virginia.
And we can't forget about Penn. Penn, hometown Penn. This is their track, and they're coming out there from the second alley, sliding themselves behind Penn State, which features Allison Johnson there in the lead there.
So a dozen teams on the oval. And Johnson, who came in as a freshman and really did contribute that initial indoor season, so had some success initially for the Penn State Nittany Lions.
Many of these athletes have already competed this weekend, so they're kind of doubling back from other events. Gladys Chepnagich of Clemson comes to mind here. She just ran the SMR the other day.
And the team's going 4 wide down the main straight as Allison Johnson gained some separation very quickly as they went through just over 60 seconds, or at least Johnson did.
Yeah, breaking away from the field here. A clear tactical move from Johnson as she hopes to build some separation.
So about 8 meters back to the chase group, with the Richmond Spiders in the number 2 position. Once again, 4 wide down the back straight. We see the University of Washington and Duke going extremely wide, pushing each other out into the third lane.
Yeah, Washington, over in the wide third lane there, that's Marlena Pree, hoping to put herself back in the conversation here, wants to give her teammate a good handoff as they look to get back in the mix here.
So Providence now, the big push as Allison Johnson from Penn State unfortunately falling back in the field. The Friars are going to be up by about 12, headed to the exchange zone, 2:05 point for the opening 800.
Followed by Clemson and Washington.
So I've seen the Husky middle distance runners a number of times indoors at Boston University. They destroy the distance medley relay record, so they have that depth and talent, and they can move those pieces around within a 4x8 or distance medley relay.
100% here. Providence has a benefit of riches here with May out in front.
So Providence, their lineup, Alex O'Neill, Kimberly May, Maeve O'Neill, and Shannon Flockhart.
May's coming off that anchor for Providence the other day, where she split a 4:23, I think, final 1,600 meters in the DMR. So Providence didn't win, but they had a great result. Now May comes back and looking to offer a little bit more.
3:03, the squad from Providence, Rhode Island, a major lead at this point early in the 4x8 relay.
She is losing them. I mean, and Kimberly May has clearly developed into one of the best distance runners in the NCAA. I think this is a time for her to really put her foot down and create some separation as we go into championship season here for Providence too.
Again, that gap is so large. Our production team went to a split view of the leader and the chase pack as Providence, the Friars with O'Neill, then May. O'Neill goes out in 2:05.97 as coming up on 3:50 on the clock.
Yeah, this split from May is going to be pretty special. You know, they went out in 2:05.9, so she's closing really, really hard here.
And as Corey mentioned, 8:17.45, the national record. It's just going to be about a 2:02.4 or so. 2:02.46 on the button for Kimberly May. Wow, that brings them back into the picture of potentially threatening another collegiate and Penn Relays record.
Well, first half down, another half to go for Providence. Washington now trying to get back, reel them in just slightly. I know, you know, they're probably 40 meters back, but they still have a chance here, and they really got to work these last two legs to make sure they get back in the hunt.
Once again, setting the order, Providence, Washington, Duke, and Virginia, the top four after two legs of the Championship of America 4x800 meter relay. And one member of that Villanova squad back in 2013, Angel Picarillo, we saw her run earlier in the Olympic development women's 1,500 meters. As Providence now 5:08, so about a 60-second, opening first lap.
Yeah, Samantha Freiberg of Washington is closing the gap just slightly on Providence here, and I think Providence should be worried just slightly. You know, there's a lot of track left here in this critical third leg, and you don't really want to give up ground to a team like Washington, which has proven to be really deadly there on the last leg.
The Huskies, definitely are moving. A 2:07.9 and then a 2:05 put them 4.5 seconds behind Providence, but that gap has almost completely gone away.
Yeah, Freiberg has done a really good job locking into her target in front of her and clipping off the meters. I think by the time we get to this exchange here, Washington will have almost evened the gap.
So we talked about the riches in the middle distance program at Washington. What does Providence have left on this team to counter the Washington Huskies, who are on the move?
Roughly about 2 seconds, Providence on Washington.
6:13.75. They'll need a 2:03-point anchor to threaten the national and Penn Relays record that is now 11 years old. Another look at the exchange zone and our lead team from Providence.
And that was a 2:02 split from Freiberg, pulling her team way back into contention here.
And that was the fastest split thus far in the race. So it's Forster versus Flockhart.
Yeah, and Forster was a part of that NCAA indoor record in the DMR. I mean, she clearly has the chops to compete. Now she's going to be aggressive on Providence, swinging wide, and now testing Providence with 1 lap to go.
And the Jamaican fans are showing their appreciation for the distance races on the oval. Providence and Washington locked in a battle with records potentially at stake.
For a moment there, she maybe considered passing Providence, and now she's hugging on her shoulder, being patient. We've seen already countless times that the last moves really win these races. So can Providence hold off Washington?
And here she comes with 200 meters to go. They finish in the middle of the straightaway in front of us, but Flockhart is holding her off into the turn, keeping that position along the rail.
Forster is working really hard, though, on that outside. We'll see if that's too much work to hold off from Providence. Finally getting around the Providence runner, but she's getting a little contact there on the outside.
They have 12 seconds to a potential national record. Washington and Providence side by side. They're taking her out into lane 2, dropping the baton.
Oh!
Providence, my
does she
goodness.
realize it? I don't think she realizes it.
Oh, she does at the line. She put her hand up to her mouth. And, oh, my goodness. And depending upon whose time we have there, it could be it is a new national record by 0.17 of a second, but how that unfolded in the final 50 meters.
Oh, gotta be bittersweet for Providence here. And just simply kind of a little moment of focus, kind of washed away. Washington continued on the line. And gosh, you hate to see it, but you have a national record from Washington now.
Wow. And again, the replay on this is just going to, could fill up chapters of a book of how this race unfolded. Providence early on set the pace. Washington responds, catches up, and then the side-by-side battle between Washington and Providence with a drop baton in the final 50 meters. As the crowd along the finish line and along the victorious and now national record.
So 2 back-to-back 2:02 splits from Washington in the back half of that 4x8, really setting up that performance. A 1 for the record books here at Penn Relays.
So the Washington Huskies right now the owner of a new national record at 8:17.28 by 0.17 of a second, breaking the 11-year-old record held by Villanova. And down on the track, Olivia with the championship Huskies.
It was such an amazing race to watch you ladies just come together and put away a victory, a record, and now a wheel going back to Washington. What does this mean for you ladies?
It's amazing. I'm so grateful to be doing this with these girls, and the Providence women put up a hell of a race. So
we had an awesome finish, and we were both fighting to the end, and it sucks that they got disqualified. They should be here right now with the wheel, but it's just how sport goes sometimes, and we win some, we lose some, and we just always got to be grateful for the little wins.
How much did you have to dig coming home that stretch?
Oh my gosh, I felt like I was walking it in. I still feeling it a little bit, but I don't know. I just want to keep fighting and never give up. Yeah.
Speaking of fighting, it just shows that you ladies have great chemistry and that you ladies just want to fight for each other. Is that a great description of what this team is like?
Definitely, absolutely. Like every day, day in and day out, I'm inspired by these women, and it's such a treat to get to be able to run with them every day.
So congratulations, ladies. Gentlemen, back to you.